Thank you for joining us on the Going Deeper podcast, a ministry of Fathom Church in Littleton, Colorado. You will never get to the bottom of the depths that are in Christ for you. And our hope with this podcast is that it will help you go deeper with God. So let's dive into this episode of the Going Deeper podcast. What's up, everyone? This is your host, Kyle Knight, and welcome to the Going Deeper podcast. These are conversations that we have here at Fathom Church to hopefully help you go deeper in your relationship with God. We're back after a little bit of time off. We took a little bit of time off through this summer. We hope that you all are having a great summer. Right now, it's really towards the end. We're about to get into the full swing of the fall here at church. So right now, this week, our missions minister, Karina Boss, is out this week, but we still have our lead pastor, Chris Martin. Hello, Chris.
Hey, man.
Hey, welcome back.
There's a lot of dude energy in the room right now, not having Karina. And
That's
so,
true.
I mean, this could be unhinged. This could get out of hand.
This is like a warning at the top, like this.
Yeah. I mean, fair warning to our Fathom friends who are listening. This one might get rowdy.
It just might. But hey, have you been? It's been a little while. How's your summer been?
Summer, man. So let's see. It's been busy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna talk about kind of moving into really the fall now. I mean, over the next couple of episodes, I think we're gonna start talking about some of the stuff that we're doing moving into the fall. But man, summer for me this year was kind of a letdown, Kyle. And here's why.
Let's hear.
Here's why. I didn't get to go on a sabbatical this summer.
I knew it.
Last summer,
welcome to work in the summer,
I know,
Chris.
I know. I'm sure everyone at home is like, "Oh, wow, we feel so bad for Chris." But
I'm sure it's different though.
It was, yeah. I mean, here's what it did though. It made looking back at sabbatical all the sweeter. Like, oh, that was really awesome. That was really cool. Mm-hmm. Although this summer has been really fun. Here's why it's been really fun. Mm-hmm. I've got to spend some good time with my family, which has been great. My wife and I and Harper, we all got to go to Buena Vista with our family and do kind of a fun little vacation, did a little staycation. We've played a lot, been to the pool a lot. That's been great. Church has been really fun this summer. I feel like it's been a good summer for our church of connecting with people. We've had our college interns with us all summer. So that's been a real delight. We hired a new position this summer that we're going to talk about a little bit. So man, it's been I'm looking forward to fall. And I'm really thankful that it's been a good summer.
Yeah. I agree with all this. It's been a good summer. It's been a very busy summer, but
yeah. What about you guys? Where have you been this summer? You've traveled, man.
Yeah. Traveled a little bit. June is always crazy for us with birthdays and anniversaries all shoved into 1 month pretty much.
You had an important anniversary.
We had an
important
June. One. We had 10 years.
A decade.
Which is a long time.
That's two hands, my friend.
It's two hands. It's two hands. And so me and Jackie got to go to Mexico for a week, which was great. Nice. It was good to get just me and her, just some time away, a little bit of a break. But I mean, obviously we missed our kids. And so we've had a good, great summer with the kids too. Doing a lot of fun stuff. We went up to Steamboat with my family. That was a lot of fun. So done kind of all the fun things. Now we're like already, and you know this too, with a wife in teaching, like we've been kind of getting back into the fall things, the fall rhythms for a few weeks now, at least. Jackie's been getting into her room. Teachers always got to go earlier and get all that stuff ready. So yeah. And I agree with you. I'm ready for fall. I'm excited for the fall, both for our family, for Austin in school, Caroline in daycare things, and Jackie in a new position in teaching. So yeah, we're excited for the fall for us, but I'm also really excited for the fall for Fathom too. I think this summer was great. The summer has been fun. It'll be nice to start getting people back into the rhythms of things, getting groups started up again, getting different things going. And so, it's been good, but looking forward to what's next.
Well, so then lead us off on this one where because as we start talking about fall, some new stuff is already starting. So why don't you kind of tee up what we're talking about and why we're talking about it today a little bit?
Yeah. So today, as you can see by the title of this episode, we're going to talk about family devotions, kind of sort of what are maybe our rhythms with how we kind of disciple our family, what we do with family devotions or whatever that looks like at home for us outside of church with our families. And coming into a new role at Fathom Church this summer, being the new family pastor, which has been pretty awesome, pretty crazy, but it's really given me just kind of more of a fire for family, not just my family, but for the families of Fathom Church. And so we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about if we do family devotions, what does that look like? What does discipleship look like for your family? We just started off a new series here for our kids for the month of August. So if you've been here at church, you've probably seen some new things. Your kids have experienced some new things as we're going through the Psalms and kind of looking at what worship looks like to God, but also how God shows us his beauty in the world. And so we're looking at those things and how those things are worship to God. And so with that, one of the things that we've been doing that's pretty new and something that's really on my heart and that I'm passionate about for our families and to kind of help our parents out, the parents of our Fathom kids, is kind of giving them what resources, those sort of things, just a little bit of help to help them in their home discipleship of their kids. And so what we've been doing the last few weeks or this last week, and that we're going to continue doing, is sending home a little sort of take home thing. We call it Make It Stick, through email right after Sunday church, but also a little handout that really just gives some pretty easy, simple things that the parents can do with the kids after Sunday church to further the conversation, to help the kids continue to talk about what they learned in church, what the Bible verse, the memory verse was, what the kind of big idea, the main idea was of that week. And whether that's through just conversations in the car on the way home, or questions around the dinner table, or just suggestions on what to pray for with the kid. It's really just something that we can do to give parents just some ideas to help continue their discipleship just outside of church, but also in the home. And so we call it Make It Stick because we know, and studies have shown, and there's statistics out there all the time, that if you do these things with your kids at a young age and continue to do this outside of the church, then there's a higher probability of their faith, your kids' faith really sticking, as especially once they get through high school and going on to college. Then there's all those statistics of how many kids actually continue to follow Christ and keep their faith as they go to college. And so we're trying to help that out a little bit. We're trying to give parents just a little extra help in discipling their kids, because as we'll probably talk about how difficult that can be, how busy life gets, as we were just kind of talking about. So we're doing that kind of a little bit of a new thing here at Fathom Church to hopefully help sort of the family discipleship piece continue at home. So,
well, this is good because when we started the church, when we started Fathom Kids, and then later subsequently we started Fathom Youth, one of the things that we kind of created a mission vision statement for our family ministries, for our kids and our youth ministries. And that vision statement is that Fathom Kids and Fathom Youth exist to partner with parents to disciple kids. Mm-hmm. So in our DNA, it's not just that we would be the disciplers of the kids. Like, we are coming alongside parents who are the primary discipler. And that's biblically how it's always been, that the church is here to help. But that discipleship begins and actually is most effective when it's done at home. And so I thought I'd read the Deuteronomy 6, which is known as the Shema, and the Shema is kind of the one of the most famous Hebrew passages that ancient and even modern Jews would know and memorize and practice. But this is kind of where we got that from. I'll read Deuteronomy 6:4 and following. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your hearts. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way and when you lie down and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand and on your and the frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And that idea there that discipleship, following God, is something that we do. We teach our children those things diligently, but I love that it says you do this when you rise and when you go to sleep, when you're walking and you're talking and you're eating and you're sleeping and you're, writing them on your doors and you're putting them on your walls and you're kind of, it's this all of life encompassing discipleship. And so when we talk family discipleship, we mean parents, you are the primary disciplers of your kids. Sunday school teachers are not. Youth group leaders are not. We're here to help. And we always, we laugh and we joke about the Home Depot motto that you can do it and we can help. But that's our thing. Like discipling your kids is you can do this and we can help.
Yes. And
that's why I think this make it stick thing has been great. Even just a couple weeks into it, Kyle, we've been doing it. Harper at dinner is asking us about she calls them the church questions.
Awesome.
So we do the church questions and we're praying the things and she's working on the memory verse. And man, I just think it's an easy kind of way for us to help parents be the primary disciplers of their kids. Yeah. So let me ask this. When it comes to family discipleship, I get questions about this from parents often. And they seem to think that it's easy for us because we're pastors, because we work in the church, because this is our, we've got seminary degrees. We've studied ancient languages. There's things that okay, this must be easy. As if in my home, when I say it's time for family devotions, Harper is very well, Father. And then she sits down, crisscross applesauce and listens to me expose the text. I'm going to do a little mini sermon and Marcy's there just on bated breath, just waiting for me to, share the brilliance.
That's not how
pray. It's just, that's how some people think it goes.
Right.
And it's not quite the case. So Kyle, why don't you pull back the curtain a little bit and just kind of what is, let's do a realistic take. What does family discipleship sometimes look like?
Sure.
And how do we maybe define the win in a way that's a bit more realistic than the dad or the mom who is going to parse the Greek verb for their children?
Well, to pull back the curtain a little bit. Yeah, it's not it's not like that. I would assume our family discipleship, our kids and everything that are like pastors' kids are it's like normal family stuff. It's probably the same. It's difficult. It's difficult to find the time. We are now, and now as we were talking about getting into the fall, we're starting now, just like every other family, to deal with school schedules and sports practices and all this stuff. And dinner's not lining up all the time with everybody, or quick dinners and that's real life. It's real life for anybody, whether they're in ministry or not in ministry, or you've got, somebody working out of the house or somebody working at home. And it's not realistic. And that's where I would hope that people can kind of understand that, but then also just accept that, hey, discipleship is not going to look the exact same to everybody. We're not here to give hey, you do A, B, and C, and there you go. And you only do A, B, and C. And man, then you will have those times that everybody's just ready to go and hear discuss what what family devotions you have at the dinner table that night. We're in real life, and we have busy schedules. And so we totally get that. One of the things that I'll kind of start out with in thinking of how difficult this could be, how difficult I think we might think it could be, with our schedules, everything, that I do believe that, and this is where I kind of was maybe when Austin was a little bit younger, that having that mindset of, oh man, that like this discipleship, like I have to do this. And if I'm not doing that, if we're not sitting around the dinner table, like talking about that, if, my kid isn't, is reciting the memory verse, going to bed or whatever like that, then we're getting it wrong. That's like number one, that like, oh, I've totally screwed this up and we're not doing it right. And then to follow that, I feel like, and this is where I was early on with kids, is, okay, if I can't do some of these discipleship things, get into some sort of like rhythm or whatever like that, then it's just not going to happen. And then you kind of fall into this kind of funk of, well, I guess it's just not going to happen.
Right.
And that's where I would just maybe give some encouragement to everybody out there. Parents, parenting is hard. I just saw a quote somewhere that, parent is something like, parenting is hard if you're doing it right, if you're actually parenting. So it's going to be hard. And that means you're doing a good job. And then discipling your kids in the home can also be very, very hard. But it doesn't have to be. And I would encourage you not to just, if these sort of things don't really line up with maybe your home schedules or anything like that, don't give up on discipling your kids. Don't give up on these sorts of things. If you don't get into the daily rhythms and you miss a day, or you just can't seem to do that with practices after school, don't just give up. Cause I think that's where I was when Austin was younger, was, oh man, if I'm not able to sit down there with a Bible with my kid, at the dinner table, or ask him these questions and have him talk about it, then I've failed at this. Therefore, and I think this is what a lot of parents do, I'm just going to leave it up to the church, and the church is going to hopefully disciple my own kid. So, I mean, I've got a lot of other like kind of realistic, like just some application things or some easy things for us to do. But I want to ask you, Chris, what does family discipleship look like in the Martin home?
Okay. So I use this same philosophy that I use for spiritual disciplines on this, which I've shared on other podcasts here, but a regular time, a regular place, and a plan. You need a time, a place, and a plan. And I think that's helpful. And now hear me, this has been hit or miss for us in the Martin household. Mm-hmm. So there've been seasons where we've done it great. And then there've been seasons when we haven't done it at all. And then there's been seasons where we do it sporadically. And listen, the first thing that I would just tell every parent is try. Mm-hmm. Like, lower your bar of expectation from perfection to attempt, right? Yeah. Like the win is trying. Mm-hmm. The win is trying. So, but to use that framework, pick a time. I love in the Make It Stick where you say there's things for on the drive. So like in the car. Mm-hmm. So listen, maybe it's every day when you drive your kids to or from school. Okay. The other one, it says at dinner. And so I think that's a good place, is around the table. There is also the at bedtime thing where you can just say, hey, like every night at bedtime, we're going to talk about Jesus. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to pray. I just like the idea of having a regular thing. Kids do very well with structure and rhythm. And so to consider a regular time and trying to carve that out and make that important. Mm-hmm. And now hear me, it doesn't have to be long. I mean, depending on the ages of your kids, it might be 5 minutes. Yeah. Right. It might be 10. It might be 15. Depending on the age and stage and how mixed your house is. I mean, it could be crazy. It might be, I mean, goodness, it could be like your kids are in the bathtub, and as you're giving them a bath, you're talking to them about Jesus. Yeah. I don't know. Like, so a time, regular time, regular place. I know this gets more tricky, but I do think, again, having a space that you do this in, whether that's in the bedroom, whether that's, but try and pull them from places with distractions. Try and get them, obviously, no, like with screens and TVs and things like that, toys and things like that. Maybe find a place that's a little bit more set apart for this, and then a plan. And I think the make it stick plan is a good plan for us. Before that, we've tried a number of things. We've tried the Jesus Storybook Bible, where we've just done a chapter a night, and we just read a chapter and ask questions about that. We've tried other devotionals. We did, I know the kids ministry this past summer made the prayer sticks. And so that's one of our plans for prayer, is that there's a stick, a little jar with popsicle sticks with different prayer prompts that we pull out and pray for. So listen, try some stuff.
Yeah.
Try some stuff and see if it works. If it stops working, stop doing it. If you fumble and all of a sudden you're like, oh, we haven't done family devotion in a month. Okay, try again. The key is not perfection here. The mark is not perfection. It's your kids seeing that you're trying. That's discipling. Like, you trying is discipling as much, if not more than, the actual content. And listen, there's so many resources. There's books, there's Bibles, there's all kinds of stuff. Even just the make it stick thing. Like, that's how you begin. Like I said, you don't have to preach a sermon.
Right.
You don't have to know all the answers. If your kids are like, what does that mean? And you don't know, you can say, I don't know. Why don't we go talk to our small group leader, or to one of the staff members, or to an elder, or to a pastor? Like, you can do that stuff. But I think it begins with lowering the bar of expectation and then coming up with some consistent yet simple plans.
Yeah, I think we, as parents, we put too much pressure on ourselves to make the discipleship at home perfect. And if it isn't perfect, if our kids have a bad night and they're melting down and you don't get to really anything formal or whatever, then we kind of give up sometimes, and we just say like, oh, well, that didn't work. So, but you even use this as sort of, and I put this down in my notes, how you kind of use this. I think you've mentioned this in like a tithing sermon, about like just taking that next step, moving from wherever you are.
Yeah.
And I have on here, it's like, just like start somewhere, like just start doing it.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for your family, just start, or else you're just not going to start.
Right. Yeah. If you're doing nothing, move from nothing to something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do something. And that something might be, hey, you're praying with your kid every single night.
Perfect. Yeah.
Start out right there. In the morning, you're asking them, how you could pray for them at school or something like that. Or after school, you're asking questions in the drive home. So just start with something. And then I like what you read that verse in Deuteronomy, and I have that down too. And I always go back to that little verse to sort of talk about how family discipleship isn't just when you sit down at a table. It isn't just when you're praying with your kid. It's like everything. And it should be everything in our lives. It should be just the normal, like, conversations with you're playing basketball outside with your kid, or if you're in the car, you're doing kind of whatever it is. Try and set those times. Cause I agree with you. Like, when you get into a rhythm, like, that's good. If you're driving all over the place and to practices, everything like that, maybe your rhythm is in the car going to soccer practice or football practice or something like that. But that verse really talks about, hey, like, this should be just in every aspect of your life. It should penetrate every aspect of your life. So yeah, I have just do it wherever you're at, just like try to take that next step. I have a devotional right here. This is what me and my family are going through now. I mean, it's called 5-minute family devotionals, and we got it like a little while. I think we've been doing it for a couple weeks now, but they're literally just 5-minute devotionals that you read a little scripture and there's a prayer at the end for it. And we do that at the dinner table now. But you're right. You don't have to go through a Devo book. You have the Bible. You could also just talk to your kid. You can see how they're doing. You can talk about what they learned in Sunday. That's a big thing. But yeah, just start somewhere. And then I would say, I think the biggest thing you can do is lead by example. And I think you said something like that it's like, as we are examples to our kids in our own personal disciplines, whether we're reading the Bible in the morning, whatever it is, our kids seeing that, our kids seeing us praying, our kids seeing us love our spouse well, doing all these kind of things, like that is a huge part of discipleship, is having your kids see that modeled, and they will see that. And then it won't be weird for them when you're like, hey, let's open up the Bible on the, like, while we're eating dinner, and let's talk about this. Let's pray tonight, because they will see that modeled for them. I think that's a huge thing.
Well, and I think maybe that's one of the better things that we've said in this podcast, is that parents, if you want to be the lead disciplers in your home, you need to be taking your own discipleship seriously. And I remember having a conversation with a guy years ago where he was just talking about our upbringings, and he was saying, we didn't really, we went to church and we did this stuff, but he said, the one thing I have a memory of is I remember my dad every single morning, I would come downstairs and see him with his Bible open in his lap. And listen, that was as marking of a discipling experience as he ever had. That was as, if not more powerful than any scripture he memorized and any Bible story he learned. I mean, just watching his own dad every morning in the text, right? Like on his knees before the Lord, reading the text, praying, like those things, you doing your own spiritual work is a discipleship aspect for your children. So, I mean, I think that's, listen, folks, if you hear anything we say, here's what we're trying to say. You can do this. You can kill this. Yeah. You don't have to, it does not have to be big. In fact, if you try and make it too big, what you're going to end up doing is failing or burning yourself out. And then you're going to feel like a failure. Instead, take small, manageable things and try them out. If you're doing nothing, do something. If that something's not working, do something different. But do it. And now hear me, we're a small church. You've got us at your disposal. Reach out to Kyle. Ask him if if you want a devotional book, if you want that 5-minute devotional book, he'll hook you up. He'll help you find those resources. We're making those resources available to you, and we're making ourselves available to you as other resources. So, man, I think as we move into fall, this is something that every family should commit to some sort of family discipleship, some sort of family devotional.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I mean, we are here, like, we're here for you. We are your church. We are here to help disciple your kids for you. But yeah, again, like Chris said at the top of this, we're really not the primary means to discipleship for any family. That's you as parents. But don't see that as such a daunting task. I mean, God has blessed you for being a parent, and so he knows you can do it too. But we're here to help. We're here to come alongside you and to help disciple your kids alongside you. So please reach out if you have any questions, if you need any help with that. We're right here to help. Chris, would you read that Deuteronomy passage one more time?
Yeah,
I love it so much, because it starts out with that piece that we all know of, like, you should love the Lord your God with all that, like all of that. And then I think sometimes we stop there and it's like, man, but there's something so important after that about what we are called to do with our families.
Yeah. So here we go. Deuteronomy 6:4 and following. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
That's good.
Yep. So love you, church. We're thankful for you. You can do this. We can help.
Just do it.
Let's go.
Nike. Just do it. Hey, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Pastor Chris.
Thanks,
for this.
Pastor
It's good
Kyle.
to have you back.
Hey, thanks.
I guess.
Yeah,
it's
good to be back. Yeah.
Be back in
the room.
This room.
Yeah. So,
thanks, church, for listening, and we'll catch you next time.